Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Diane Deziel, and in today's video we're starting a coat block pattern just like this one, so stay with me. To make this coat block that we're doing today, I decided to start with my dartless bodice because I don't want no dart and no princess line on my coat. So I trace my dartless block back and front, but we will start with the back right now. And to do the coat block, it's pretty simple because the only thing you have to do basically is elongate it and grade the top part 2 sizes bigger. If you did bought my tool-fully grading ruler, it's going to make your life much easier because at the shoulder point, you just put the basic size right on, align your block, and with your awl, just point 2 sizes bigger shoulder and armhole point, move it to the underarm point, align your center front, and 2 sizes bigger. If you don't have it, you're going to trace a square line from center back, touching your underarm point, and same thing at the shoulder and armhole point. Now the grading for 2 size is 2 centimeter, 1 centimeter per size. And the underarm point is also moving up and down, so down for the larger size, 0.3 per size more or less. So my final point is going to be 2 out and 6 millimeter down. At the shoulder and armhole measurement, we're going to give half the measurement that we give over here. 2 size, 0.5 per size is going to be 1 cm. And this point, instead of going down, it's a bigger size. So it's going to go up, and it's 0.2 per size. Size up will be 4 millimeter. This will be my final point for the shoulder. Now if I move down at the waist level, since my underarm moves down, my waist should move down also. Here we move 0.3 per size. At the waist it's going to be 5 millimeter per size. So my waist level for a coat will be about a centimeter further down. And if you notice, I just trace square from the center back. Now if I go back on top and finish my back, I would want to enlarge my neck because this is more for a very tight fit at the neck, and a coat is wear over other clothes. So I suggest you move about 5 millimeter away from the neck, all parallel. And remember to keep it square for about 3 centimeter. Now when the neck is done and the shoulder point is moved, you could retrace your shoulder, keeping the little curve so it gives more room for the bone in the back. Now for the armhole, you could just retrace with pretty much the same shape, just stretch it a little bit. When you're done, look at your curve, divide it by 3, could be done by highs, and just put your double notch again. Now for the length of the coat, you do the length that you want. I measure my favorite coat and it's about 90 centimeter from the neck down, so that's what I will do. And from that 90 centimeter, I'm going to square a line across my paper. Now when the bottom line is done, you're going to square from that square line that you did at the underarm. Hopefully it's long enough. Place your square and just trace straight for now all the way down. Then to help us to shape the side seam, we're going to place the hip level. It's a good reference to have anyway, and it should be pretty much at 21 centimeter from the waistline down. And I'm going to square a line at the hip level also. Now the reason why we do need the reference for waist and hip level is to be able to shape it a little bit, because even if you wanted a straight coat, it's always better to give a little shape at the side seam. It falls much better. Usually the basic measurement I give is 1.5 in at the waist level, and you could right away connect it with the underarm point. Now again, since it's a coat and you wear it over other layers, maybe a flare skirt, you need some room at the bottom. So I have the habit of adding at the hip level the same thing I come in at the waist. So I would go out 1.5 at the hip level. Then what you do is you connect both points, so waist to hip out. What does it do? It gives a little flare to the bottom of the coat, and like I said, you don't have to. You could just bring it back to the straight line if you want, curving a little bit at the side seam. I feel it's much nicer when you add a little flare to the side seam so the coat doesn't open just because you're walking. And since you did add a flare, you're going to measure the straight line because that's how it's going to fall. You take the measurement, and from the waist, just pivot the measurement, report it on the flare line. So just mark the measurement, and then you'll be able to square the bottom until the straight line. Now, believe it or not, your back is finished. You just need to add your seam allowance all around, except on center back, because this one will be unfold for now. So 1 centimeter and 4 centimeter or 5 for the hem. When you're done with the seam allowance, you could just go ahead and cut it all around. Now when you finish cutting your back, you could go ahead and trace your front, and we'll do pretty much the same modification. Again, if you do have your grading ruler, time to use it by just pointing out 2 sizes up at the underarm and at the shoulder area. If not, I'll do it manually. Just trace a square line from center front, touching your underarm point and touching the shoulder and armhole point. Now at the underarm, we go 2 sizes out, so 2 centimeter, and 3 millimeter per size, so 0.6 down. At the shoulder area, you go half of that measurement, so 1 centimeter out, and 2 millimeter per size, that means 4 millimeter up. Now you did remember what we did on the back neck. We removed 0.5 all around. In the front, you could remove also 0.5 at the shoulder, so your shoulder will match. But at center front, I usually go down a little more for scarf or whatever you like, and I square for a little while, maybe 5 millimeter. Then I will connect my 2 lines. Now you have your new neck point. You could connect with the raised point at the shoulder and armhole area, and we're ready to retrace the armhole, touching the 2 new points. This time, yes, you keep the same shape, pretty much the same shape, but also if you can make it a little tiny bit straighter, it would be a good thing. The reason why I ask you to try to do it a little bit straighter is just because if you remember when we did the dartless bodice, we enlarged the armhole a lot. Then the next thing to do, we will trace the waistline, but before, I'd like you to trace your straight side seam, so square with the bust line that you did, and just trace all the way down. We take different steps for the front, just because, again, for you to be conscious of what we're doing, back and front, they don't have the same angle. So to make sure that your waist level is going to be at the same length, we have to take it from the back. And anyway, we did some work in the back, and we don't have to repeat it because it's already done. Just take it from the back, the side seam, and report it on the front. How to do that? Just report your point to see them on the other side. So you do need the straight line at the bottom, the waist point over here, and underarm point. I do see through my paper, so it'll be easy to place them one over the other. I'm just going to put it right over at the underarm point and align my straight line. This way you're sure you have exactly the same shape and you don't have to redo the work. Now we have that, just retrace your side seam and waist level, report your hip level and side seam, and also the flare that we did at the bottom. Same time you get the length of the coat for the front. Now you could see I got all my reference points, so I could retrace my side seam that will match perfectly with my back. What you have left to do is just square from the front, touching your length that you got from the tracing of the back. Last thing to do would be here in the armhole to do the notch, so 1/3 of the armhole from the bottom, and we're ready to put the seam allowance all around. And now already your front block is also finished, so you could cut all around. Now that the block is complete, you're going to measure from the underarm, stop at the notch to write down the measurement and mark also the full measurement, and you do that for front and back. The only thing you have left to do is notch your pattern. So waist, you could do your hip, hemline, and armhole. That's it for today. I hope this video will be helpful, and make sure you watch my next video. I'm going to show you finally how to do a tailor sleeve.